Tomorrow morning, Jews everywhere read Parashat Mishpatim from the book of Exodus. Just as a quick recap, the people have come out of Egypt, they've crossed the sea, they have danced, and now they need structure. And that structure comes in the form of laws, Mishpatim. And some of the laws that we encounter in this portion of the section of the book of Exodus are interpersonal laws, ranging from the treatment of slaves to the exhibition of kindness to strangers. Others are more cultic laws, including the commandment to observe the sabbatical year, a repetition of all of the Shabbat injunctions and commandments, and the first mention of the three pilgrimage festivals in the Torah, Sukkot, Passover, and Shavuot. Mishpatim also contains the rules of sacrificial offerings and the famous prohibition against boiling a kid in its mother's milk, one of the basis for biblical kosher laws. One of the other major series of laws in Parashat Mishpatim include laws about health, rights, and justice. Here is potentially the most famous of them. It's from Exodus 21. When men fight, and one of them pushes a pregnant woman, and a miscarriage results, but no other damage ensues, the one responsible shall be fined according as the woman's husband may exact from him, the payment to be based on reckoning. But if other damage ensues, the penalty shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. While certainly a troubling section of our Torah about retribution and vengeance, this section of the Torah is also the core base that demonstrates Judaism's value of reproductive justice. Based on this passage from Torah, if someone accidentally causes a miscarriage to take place, they are obligated to pay financial reparations only. The case is not treated as a manslaughter case, which would demand the eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life death penalty. The other damage that would demand the death penalty would be the death of the pregnant individual or some other serious punishment in that eye for eye, tooth for tooth framework. Therefore, just to be as blunt as possible, causing the termination of a pregnancy is not in the Torah considered manslaughter or murder. It is because of those lines in Parashat Mishpatim that this Shabbat we observe Reproductive Justice Shabbat, or Repro Shabbat, which is an annual Shabbat celebration that honors the Jewish value of reproductive freedom. This is done in partnership with many amazing organizations that many of you are part of, ranging from the Religious Action Center to the Women of Reform Judaism, and most specifically for this evening, the National Council for Jewish Women, who spearhead this idea of Repro Shabbat. Beth Am, led by our amazing member Sarah Guido, who lit our candles, and members of our reproductive justice team, many who I see out there, has built an amazing partnership with NCJW, the National Council for Jewish Women. And it's a partnership of both advocacy and action, and we continue as part of our deep Jewish values for reproductive justice. Tonight, Beth Am is part of over 2,000 Jewish institutions across this country observing Repro Shabbat. It's important that we do this. As a society, we know that 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will terminate a pregnancy by the age of 45. And those who want children need access to reproductive care during miscarriage or other dangerous pregnancies. We know that abortion bans in this country may also curtail legal access and agency during IVF treatments. National studies teach us that maternal death rates are 62% higher in states that ban or restrict abortion, and babies born in banned states were 30% more likely to die in their first month after birth. Black and Native women are about 3 times as likely to die in pregnancy, childbirth, or right after giving birth than white women. And even though the statistics say that 84% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. Simply put, abortion bans disproportionately impact those on the margins, families struggling to make ends meet, young people, migrants and immigrants, or other people of color. And while thankfully California is one of the nation's leaders in reproductive justice, we need to be hyper-vigilant about threats on abortion across the country. We must continue to do our part in the ongoing fight for reproductive justice. Our synagogue should be places where anyone who has or who may ever terminate a pregnancy feel loved and welcomed. Our synagogues should be places where people understand what our tradition teaches about these issues. And they should be places where we understand the importance of fighting for reproductive health, rights, and justice for all. We also must affirm this is an issue for men as well as women, and we must not remain idle when barriers to health care place anyone's individual's health, well-being, autonomy, or economic security at risk. Synagogues like Beth Am can continue to lead the fight for reproductive health, rights, and justice by educating our communities. And if you want to get involved, we need you. This is the call to action. Currently, we're collecting for NCJW and packing abortion care kits to be distributed across the countries. This will be the 3rd time that we've done this. There's a sign-up sheet right where you walked in, or you can find Sarah or another member of the amazing Beth Am reproductive justice team. I do want to note that I know we are a big tent community, and sometimes these political issues can serve to divide us more than unite us. Certainly, we have a lot of different views on the important political issues in this country. If you disagree with the reform movement's position, it's important that we continue to engage together. The Talmud most famously preserves different opinions amongst its pages so that we can continue to dialogue and debate and work together on a shared vision despite our differences. This evening, I'll simply conclude with a prayer by Rabbi Liz P.G. Hirsch, who's the head of the Women's Rabbinic Network, who wrote this prayer for this evening. Today, we pray for freedom, safety, and health for all those who can become pregnant. We affirm the choice to end a pregnancy. We assert that the life of a pregnant person is paramount. We declare that the body of each person belongs to them. We echo our rabbis. Pshita gufahi. It's obvious because it's her body. We uplift the rights to have a child, the right not to have a child, and the right to parent child in safe and healthy environments. We demand sexual autonomy and gender freedom for each human being. We look to our laws, our mishpatim, for guidance as a starting point. We look to the lived experiences, to the real stories of people who can become pregnant as our motivation. We do this work for each of them. Our rabbinic sages teach it is not our job to complete the work, but neither can we give up. Shabbat Shalom.